Hello everyone, welcome to EduTerrain and hope you all had a great day. Yesterday I couldn't take the class, that anyways we'll be taking it on Saturday. So today's class, it is again of ARD static, and the topic that I'm going to take is soils, one of the most important topics not only for the NABARD grade A or B examination but IBPS SO FO as well. उसमें तो AFO में तो और भी इन डेप्थ होता है एंड नाबार्ड ग्रेड ए और बी में थोड़ा सा लाइट ही रहता है इन कंपेयर टू दैट. अदरवाइज द कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर सेम. Now, with this introduction, let me start today's session. One of the most important topics. And every time at least one or two questions, minimum one or two questions, and एक बार तो ऐसा भी हुआ है कि maximum some 4 questions were asked from this topic. Such is the importance of this topic. So the first question: how many orders are there in the soil? That is soil classification as per the modern classification of soils, which is given by the US comprehensive, that is USDA ने दिया है, United States Department of Agriculture, which is called as US comprehensive soil classification, which is based on the 7th approximation. That is पहले उन्होंने start किया, तो उसके बाद various countries they kept on sending the details of their countries' respective soils and all that. Based on all that relevant data, details, etc., they kept on updating that, and the latest updation is of 7th approximation. That is, उसके बाद ज़्यादा कुछ हुआ नहीं है उसमें changes. Now you have to tell me how many soil orders are there as per this classification. क्योंकि इसी soil orders के basis पे we'll have the types of soils or classification of soils in different countries. और हम इंडिया में भी उसी तरह से 8 such types of soils are there. Yes, anyone? See, when we talk about this orders, there are 12 such orders, okay, which is the बिल्कुल टॉप पे रहता है क्लास. जैसे बोटानिकल क्लासिफिकेशन और द जूलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन जिस तरह से रहता है, उसी तरह से सॉइल क्लासिफिकेशन भी रहता है, एंड दैट ऑर्डर इज ऑन टॉप, जो हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन पर्पज. एज आई सेड, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर प्लस National Cooperative Soil Survey, they both have come up with an elaborate classification of soil types according to several parameters in several levels, and the topmost level in that is the order. And when we talk about these soil orders, the primary basis for identifying this order is based on the properties of the soil properties, not on the basis from where they have generated या फिर from where they have took birth, कहाँ पे उसकी genesis हुई है. More than that, they focused on the various properties of soil, physical properties, chemical properties. Based on that, they have come up with different orders. And second important point, ये तो first important point हो गया. And second important point, whatever the nomenclature, now these are the various soil orders: soils, vertisols, oxysols, vertisols, alphisols, histosols, aridosols, spodosols, mollisols, andi or endisols, or soils. Now all these, what are the nomenclature that you are seeing, all of these have either Latin or Greek roots. उन्हीं से दिया है. So these two are very very important points that you have to remember, and there is one exception for this nomenclature, that is andisols or endisols. Now only this particular title, it is derived from Japanese word, okay, where andi or endi is black, and these are those soils that are derived from the volcanic ash, okay, one of the most fertile soils you can say. So this is the only one that is derived from the rest of all have Greek or Latin nomenclature, that is root words. And the current modern classification is on 7th approximation, जो 1975 में दिया था. Okay, moving on to our second question. Now you have seen the orders. Now always, whatever the orders that are there, they are associated with some you can say alternative names sort of, based on their features. Now choose among the following the option that represents the correct combination. Yes, anyone? Wherever you feel like you have a query or question or doubt, you can keep on asking me. I'll answer. Anyways, in the end also I'll give you some time exclusively for question and answer only for clarification. See, histosols, it is organic soil because the basic or the majority of that will have organic matter. That is, this particular order deals with those soils where the organic matter is very, very high. Inceptisols, inceptum means just now taken birth in Latin. So, inceptisols, very young soils, that is embryonic soils. Aridisols, that is arid, dry nature, these are desert soils. Altisols, these are bleached, lot of usage, lot of weathering that they have seen, lot of weathering, that is the oldest soils. And all of these are true. Okay, all of these are true in this case. See, antisols. You know, यहाँ पे 12 orders we have seen, and Indian classification के हिसाब से we have 8 kinds of soils in India, and each of these soils are derived from one of these orders only. And as I've said earlier also, based on the classification, the top जहाँ पे बैठते हैं soil classification, that starts with order. After that, you know, family, so based on whatever the types of soils that we are seeing, that would be from some or the other order only. So vertisols, black soils that are present in India. Oxysols are highly weathered soils. Alphisols, larger acidic soils, and they are in forest. Forest में क्या होता है? Continuous addition of organic matter. So more addition of organic matter than the decomposition. So what will happen? The acidity will obviously increase because the microorganisms, whenever they undergo decomposition, whenever they decompose the organic material, during that time they release lots of acids, and continuously the forest what will happen? Organic matter keeps on adding. So because of which they're always highly acidic in nature. Mollisols, ये जो grasslands का होता है, जो soft nature होता है, that. Insectisols, young soils, histosols, they have more than 20% organic matter. Altisols, lowest nutrient and very old soils. Desert soils, aridisols. Endisols, as I've said, Japanese word only इसी का है, जो volcanic eruptions के time पे जो lava and volcanic ash होता है उससे बनता है. Now, good evening, Aniket. Which among the following soils is also known as azonal soils? As per the classification, India का जो classification है, based on that there are 8 types of soils, and each of these soils has their own specific features, and one of those soils is also called as azonal soils. Generally we have the soils किस तरह से होता है, different zones में divide होता है. O if present, A, B, C, फिर bedrock, that is regolith sort of, and complete rock. So different zones, but this particular soil is not that. Why? Because it is formed because of the deposits of soil or layers of soil. That's the reason there are no specific zones in it, but one of the most nutritious soils, and India में majority of the soil that is present is this particular soil. अब इतने सारे hints मैंने दिया है, now you have to answer. Yes, azonal soils. Okay, alluvial soils are those which are azonal soil. There is no zones in that, and about 43% of India is covered with this, especially northern plains like here Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan, UP. And alluvial soils यहाँ पे जहाँ पे भी deltas होते हैं, जैसे कृष्णा डेल्टा हो गया, गोदावरी डेल्टा हो गया, there you will find, because of the continuous movement of the water, that is river water, it keeps on depositing the soils in these deltas, because of which there also you can find, but less. Northern plains में सबसे ज़्यादा है, formed mainly from the antisol soil order. When we talk about these 8 types of soils, from whatever order that they are formed or they fall under, that would be very important for your examination. In this case, alluvial soils are formed from the antisol soil order, and it is azonal, and geographically it is of 2 types. Khaddar or newly formed, बहुत नया deposit है. Whenever we saw that new deposits, what is that? It would be little bit sandy in nature. Bhangar or older alluvium. Older alluvium will be very much salted. They have less sand and more clay. Because of continuous weathering of these sands, they have become older. Okay, and they are rich in potassium, lime, deficient in nitrogen and phosphorus, and suitable for rabi and kharif crops such as wheat, rice, sugarcane, cotton, whatnot. Any plant can grow in this. Especially when we talk about fruit trees, etc. They also can be this, unless cashew nut ऐसे कुछ hardy crops होते हैं. They can grow in any kind, but otherwise it's one of the most suitable soil for all kinds of crops and found majorly in the northern plains and river valleys और peninsular India, जो मैंने बताया ना, साउथ के जो डेल्टास है वहाँ पे भी आपको ये देखने को मिलेगा. Okay, and one of the soils that India has is a laterite soil. Now what is its pH? Lower the pH, it would be acidic. Higher the pH would be basic or alkaline. Okay. Now, when we talk about laterite soils, they are highly weathered soil. That's the reason you can find these in the slopey areas where continuous movement of wind and water, because of which leaching happens. Whatever the water that keeps on flowing, it carries all the nutrients along with that, because of which they are leached, and at the same time, because of continuous movement, they are highly weathered soils. Okay, now whenever we talk about highly weathered soils or leached soils, there would be acidity in its soils, but not too much acidic. So it would be little bit acidic. So here the pH of laterite soils would be 6. 3 to 4 हम उन सॉइल्स को बोल सकते हैं जहाँ पे फॉरेस्ट सॉइल्स, वेयर लॉट ऑफ एडिशन ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक मैटर इज देयर. सी वो जानना है तो एक सिंपल चीज आई टेल यू, ऑर्गेनिक मैटर, ओके, added. Now various microorganisms will work on this and it will convert that into final dead and decayed matter. Okay, while doing this, it releases lots of acid. Once it becomes this final dead and decayed matter, then it would be alkaline in nature. But meanwhile, decaying or decomposing organic matter always is acid because of continuous action of these microorganisms. So whenever organic matter is continuously added, what happens? The microorganisms will not be able to convert it as fast as it is. Okay, so there comes this acidity, and when the addition of organic matter to the soil is equal to the action of microorganisms, that is as steady rate. Whenever it happens, the soil would be highly fertile in nature, rich in organic matter, and they have very good water holding capacity and nutrient holding capacity. Okay, so here in this case organic matter तो है ही नहीं, बहुत कम, and they are not as fertile, so it is acidic in nature, 5 to 6. Latin means later, which means brick. So whenever we put water, it becomes very soft, and whenever it's dried, it becomes so hard. And India you can find this in almost 25 million hectares, and it's formed mainly from oxysols, where highly weathered soils you can find maximum leaching. But the thing is, it is red in color due to iron oxide, like red soils में. But red soils are highly nutritious in nature. उनका fertility बहुत high level का रहता है, okay, because of high clayey content there. But here clay content बहुत कम रहता है. Clay content जहाँ पे भी ज़्यादा रहता है, what is that? The CEC would be high. That is cation exchange capacity. Altogether अलग property है soils का, that we'll discuss in some other class. Okay, and these are found wherever hilly terrains are there in India. There you can find the eastern and western Ghats, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Assam and Odisha hills, etc. And here very much suitable crops, cashew nuts, tea, coffee, rubber, those hardy plants can be grown in these kinds of soils. Now, which of the following horizons of soil layers is rich in minerals? Yes. Horizonation, very important horizonation of soils. And in the horizons, we generally बचपन से हम पढ़ रहे थे ना कि टॉप सॉइल बहुत रिच होता है, राइट. बट टॉप सॉइल में भी सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्या है? Whenever watering is done, the minerals at all go down along with the water, because of which one of the layers below that gets all that material, all that nutrition. That's the reason we consider that particular layer as very rich in minerals. Yes, anyone? And that is B horizon. Let me show you. See, this is the organic layer where the dead and decaying matter and all that would be there. That is human, completely dead organic matter. But again, this is optional. In few cases, you might not find this organic layer. So it is optional layer sort of. O for organic, O for optional, you can say. You won't find this in all the soils. This is common, the topsoil. Okay, topsoil, that is A horizon. A horizon is also divided into A1, A2, A. Okay, now A2 is the one, it is a zone of elevation. Because whatever the nutrients along with water that all come down, that gets settled in this A2 layer, which is elevation. Nutrition, that is fertile layer. But again, what happens is, while the water moves little bit more into the deeper layers of the soil, it is elevation. Sorry, I'm really sorry. A2 is E, that is elevation layer. I'm really sorry, I'm confused. Okay, this is elevation layer. I thought it's not mentioned. Elevation layer. Okay, and this is same layer, that is A horizon he had. From the same A horizon, the constituents, the particles are moving in the same horizon, which is further divided into 3. Okay, this particular process of movement of the constituent soils along with the nutrients, it is called as elevation, and this layer is called as elevation layer. But again, the nutrients won't stop there. Further they move down, and all these gets settled in the subsoil, and the movement of these mineral nutrients along with soil particles from one horizon to another horizon, बिल्कुल horizon change हो रहा है. This is called as elevation. Okay, that's why it's also called as alluvial layer. Now this is the, and यहाँ पे आप रुक जाते हैं. That's the reason we call this as the most nutritious or fertile layer. And second important point, when we talk about this tillage practices and all that, one thing you must have heard about, that subsoiling. Right? Did you hear about that subsoiling? No, E is not O layer. E is A2 layer. A2. Okay, Aniket? Yes, Deepak, I was, but not now. Subsoiling. See, what happens is, when all these nutrients at all get go and settle down in subsoil, while this tillage action and various other operations are performed on the field, what will happen? Slowly this particular layer gets hardened in few years time. That is a hard pan formation or plow soil formation. Okay, that's every 4 to 5 years at least one subsoiling should be done, so that this hard pan can be broken. See, this is a soil tillage, बार बार इतने पे ही करते हैं हम लोग ऊपर, maximum 30 to 40 centimeters at max, but this forms nearly close to 60 centimeters तक depth, even sometimes even more than that in deep soils. Okay, so what will happen? This all gets hardened. Now this is the plow soil or hard pan. So what happens when the plant roots, they go into this particular layer and get all the nutrition. But if it itself is hard, it can't move further into that and get all the nutrition, for which every 4 to 5 years we say subsoiling needs to be done. That is nothing but simple breakage of these hard pans by using subsoiler, which can go more deeper than the regular plow and break open these plow pans or the hard pans. So what will happen? Then it will create that aeration. The roots can go deeper and get all the nutrition from this. This subsoil is nothing but this B horizon. Okay? Oh, okay, Aniket, it's okay. Done. Horizonation, very, very important. After that comes the parent rock and the bedrock. CR. OAEPCR. Actually, E is also part of A only. A2. Second layer में वो आता है. Next, partly decomposed organic debris, humus, and most of the soil flora and fauna are contained in which of the following horizons of the soil? Just now we have discussed. अभी हमने डिस्कस किया है. See, just now we have discussed, no? That is O horizon, the top organic layer is optional. सभी soils में नहीं रहता है. Wherever we don't find any organic matter addition, so what this would not be available. Just regular fields जो होते हैं उसमें हमेशा निकाल देते हैं ना, and all that very rarely because it keeps on. They keep on doing tillage practices, all that. In those areas where we don't have any plants or something, there you can find this. Now, what is the proportion of sand, silt and clay sized particles that make up the mineral fraction of the soil known as? Yes, anyone try? एक second. अभी चार्जर తీసుకురా लैपटॉप दी. Yes. What is the proportion of sand, silt, clay? Now, how are these formed? Bedrock we have seen. Rock, this is also called as parent material. So, simpler terms I'll explain. This will break down into smaller rocks, which is called as regolith. Okay. Now, this regolith further breaks down and that forms sand or silt and clay. See, this will form the sand, which is a little bit bigger in size. After that, sand further breaks down through weathering, leading to silt. Silt further breaks down to form clay. Okay, and these are called the minerals in soil content. Soil is सबसे पहले क्या होती है? Soil and clay, silt and all. But actually soil contains either sand or silt, clay plus organic matter plus soil air plus soil water. Now they all together you can call soil, not simply sand, silt or just components of that. And that is a mineral fraction. These are the minerals actually. Now this mineral fraction, because of that we can say if excess of sand is there, sandy soils. If excess of clay is there, clay soils. If everything is balanced, loamy soils. Now that particular classification, that is called as soil texture or textural soil classification. Okay. Yes, so here as you can see here, जैसे जैसे percentage of silt बढ़ता रहता है, in between you will find the loamy soils as you can see here, or clayey soils when clay ज़्यादा रहता है, sandy soils when sand ज़्यादा रहता है, silty soils when silt ज़्यादा रहता है. When everything is balanced, we say that they are loamy soils, one of the best soils especially for the fruit and vegetable crops. Okay, and based on this there are 15 types of textural classes of the soils. Go again in detail we'll do in some other class. Now moving on to our next question. Identify from the given options the correct order of erosion caused by water in the progressive manner. Now when we talk about erosion मतलब सबसे पहले दिमाग में क्या होता है? It is very bad. It is something that takes off all the nutrients from the soil and thereby leaving it in depleted condition. Actually, in soil formation process, erosion is important and an inevitable part of that process. क्योंकि यहाँ पे कहीं पे soil form that has to be carried to other places, in that erosion plays a very important role. And when we talk about the erosion that we see, that is all man-made erosion because of overgrazing by the animals, because of deforestation, because of overcropping, because of over-irrigating. All that leads to irrigation and erosion. And when we talk about erosion, it is of two types: agents, based on the type of agents. Water caused and wind erosion. In this we are talking about water, that is erosion caused by water, and you have to tell me the correct order starting from जो basic erosion है to the advanced erosion. Yes. Okay, see here we talk about erosion. The first thing that happens is a splash erosion. जैसे when it rains, what will happen? The water falls onto the ground and it splashes. While it splashes, it loosens the soil. Okay, and if this is not taken care of, how can it be taken care of? By maintaining some vegetation or something there. What will happen? This will lead to sheet erosion. मतलब sheet as a sheet, the layer of soil would be removed, and generally this goes unnoticed because दिखता ही नहीं है. बहुत ज़्यादा गौर से देखेंगे, only then you will be able to notice that okay, there is some topsoil removal that has happened here. If sheet erosion भी neglect किया है, that will lead to, ये greater than नहीं है, ये arrow mark type का है. You can, sorry I should have told you earlier only, ये arrow mark you can consider. Okay. Now this will lead to rill erosion. Rill क्या है? They are unbalanced channel sort of less than 30 centimeters. और फिर धीरे क्या होता है, ये small rills, finger like structures they are formed. Now this will become gullies. These are huge channels sort of where completely soil would be washed away. Okay, and this is the correct answer. Splash will lead to sheet to rill to gully. Very important this one. Okay, as you can see here, यहाँ पे vegetation नहीं है तो क्या हो गया? Splash से the all soil got loosened and slowly sheet erosion occurs, and that leads to rills. As you can see, a finger like structure slowly they'll form because of continuous movement of water that carries off the entire soil with it, and that will lead to big gullies. And what will happen, that when it enters into a stream bank, the streams will swell. So what will they do? Completely they take the banks. जैसे river में water ज़्यादा होता है, it will try to cut off these banks. That is stream bank erosion. Okay, so these are the levels of erosion you can say. Moving on to our next question. Now when we talk about soils, there is few terminology that you have to understand, and this is one from that. Now what is the study of soil from the standpoint of higher plants, that is the various properties of soil in relation to plant production? See, there are two kinds of studies of soil. One, soil itself, how it is, how it has been generated, what is genesis and all that all forms under one study. Okay, and second, that is how soil is helping the plants to survive and what is their relation among themselves. So that is another study, based on which we have two completely different studies of soil. Yes, anyone? So those two you have to remember. One is pedology and the other is edapology. Pedology is something where you are trying to understand soil as a body itself, not trying to have see in relation with some other body. But edapology is something that we are talking about here, where we are trying to study the soil from the standpoint of view of the plants, how they are able to survive and all that. Okay, pedology, study the soil as a natural body and does not focus on the soil's immediate practical use, but the origin of the soil, classification, description, all that would be studied in pedology. So pedologist, he works on this, or कैसे origin हुआ and all that. Edaphology, now here again it's from Greek only. This also is from Greek. Here the study of soil from the higher plant. So edaphologist is the person who will be looking into the soil to understand its relation with the higher plants, its nature. And there's one more term, petrology. It is a scientific study of rocks that deals with their composition, structure, etc. Now, how is it related? Because from those rocks only, once they form the regolith is sand, silt, clay, that as part of the soil. So, petrology would also be important. Study of rocks. Okay, moving on to our last question for today. The arrangement of the primary particles, that is the sand, silt and clay along with the other material, and their aggregates, that is when they are clubbed together, they are called as aggregates. Now into certain defined patterns, there are various patterns also which is called as soil structure. Okay, now which of the following types of soil structures is most suitable for crop production? Yes. Now before giving you the answer for this, I request you all to please like this session and share this session with your friends as well. And I have already launched various courses on the app. You can go through that, and if you have any queries, you can please reach out to me. Okay, here the correct answer is granular, or we say friable nature. This is of very important for crops because usme aeration and everything would be there, thereby the plant will be able to survive very nicely. So it is a granular nature, as you can see, a granular crumbly nature it's called, or friable nature. And here these are blocky, that is blocks type the aggregates are formed. Here the aggregates, that is soil that all put together, they come closer together to form block like structures. They are prismatic in nature, vertical columns. Columnar, they have columns, but again salt cap would be there. Generally in arid climates you will find this, and this kind of prismatic structures you will find in the lower layers of the horizons. And platy structure, whenever there is compact soil, especially continuous compaction of the soil happens because of movement of vehicles and all that, especially the subsoil, it has a platy in nature. And platy nature se kya hota, the roots will not be able to penetrate that, so because of which that has to be broken down. So plates sort of it will form. Single grained, again isme sandy soils it is most common, where there is no binding, there is no elasticity or plasticity in sandy soil, it's completely zero. So in that you can say single grained. Haath mein se lete, everything will be, that will flow down freely. But this is also not suitable for the crops. This is the one that is most suitable, granular or crumbly nature, as you can say cookie crumbles type ka, or friable nature. Okay, so this is all from my end. Thank you very much for being with me so patiently. Yes, now the forum is open for your queries, questions, comments on today's session, suggestions, all are welcome. So these are the links to the channel, to the app and all that, where you can reach out to me. If not now, you can raise your queries there as well. Yes. Okay, then as I can see no queries, I'm winding up the session. Hope to see you all again tomorrow in the next session on YouTube and in the live class. Abhi 9:30 को एक और class है, because in the morning I couldn't take as I was not feeling well, so I rescheduled that, the app session where we look into the current affairs questions. So yesterday wala jo session में questions which that went wrong because of technical issue, that I am going to do today. Tomorrow we'll do 2 days questions. Okay, so with this let me wind up this session. Thank you very much once again. Please take good care of yourself. Take care. Bye bye. Good night.